Hi, I'm not your local Uber driver, amazingly enough. I know they don't come dressed like this, do they? In fact, Uber has been having nothing but issues with all sorts of insurance matters and the type of drivers that they're hiring or not really hiring. I don't think there's really much of a screening process. I think we've seen around the world the way that Uber's kind of been responded to initially, where it seemed like a really good service that was going to make things very, very convenient for the customer, to what basically ended up happening, which is where Uber's been finding themselves excommunicated basically from a lot of places, including the province that I live in, where they just couldn't come to any type of insurance agreement because all the people out there driving were doing it as a second or a third job, and they were doing it in unreliable vehicles. And who knows what else could potentially have been going on. But we know Uber, privately held company, not a publicly traded company, but we've heard that Uber's thinking about going public. Uber's been having a whole lot of bad media around the world. That's just a fact. I'm Cody from Wall Street Breakdown. Do you want a little more bad news from Uber? Why not, right? Let's just put it out on the table. Apparently, Uber last year had about 57 million of their customers' accounts hacked. That's right. 57 million of them last year. You know, you're finding out about this today, right? Now, they've fired Chief Security Officer Joe Sullivan over this, and I mean, honestly, is that really going to do anything? Because this is quite a bit in arrears from when the actual timeline of the hacking took place. We've seen this with Equifax and saw how Equifax suffered from this expediently. The blowback was fast and it was furious, but they're publicly traded, so we see it in the share price. With Uber, we're not actually seeing the actual blowback take place in a physical drop in share price. What are we going to see? I would imagine we're going to see even more cities, provinces, territories, states, countries, whatever you want to call them, decide that they really don't want to deal with a company that just doesn't have their scruples in order. 57 million accounts hacked, and all of your personal information, addresses, names, phone numbers, all that kind of stuff, lost in the mix. Not only that, this isn't the worst part of the news. 600,000 of those 57 million had their licenses and their information from their driver's licenses also stolen in the hacking. Again, this is a year ago and you're just finding out about this now. You might actually be a victim of identity theft, and a year potentially has gone by and you weren't made aware from a company that wants to take itself public, from a company that wants you to entrust it with your safety while they're driving you around with their drivers that, like we've said, there's been some, not everybody's on the up and up with how well they're driving. Let's just put it that way, or how well they're insured, how well their vehicle's maintained, or a bunch of other things. As it turns out, Uber knew all about this. They knew about it last year. Did they tell you? Did they tell me? Did they tell the public? Of course not. They're a private company. They don't necessarily have to disclose this kind of stuff, but they really should, because there's been nothing but talks again about them going public. We've heard an 18-month time frame, potentially when they do file for an IPO. I just don't see that in the cards, unfortunately. As it turns out, Uber did try to do something to fix this. They tried to rectify it in the best way that they knew how. They spent $100,000 paying hackers to cover it up. That's right, to try to backdoor the guys that backdoored it and cover it up so you and I never found out about the fact that potentially all of our most pertinent information, maybe not our credit card numbers, but still a lot of really specific detailed information that I really don't feel like being out there in the ether, I'm sure you don't either, was made available. So they went ahead and they hired some unscrupulous characters of their own, probably guys who were driving for them that then moved on into actually just doing the hacking for them. And as it turns out, Uber just continues to shoot themselves in the foot. I, for one, am not surprised. In fact, I'm fairly disappointed, because this company at one point in time really looked like it had a lot of promise. In fact, the idea itself still has a lot of promise. You see it in a company like Lyft, where there is a lot of promise behind it, but you really need to have the type of follow through and the type of scruples that's going to make your customer base feel safe. when they get into a stranger's vehicle, that not only are they going to arrive alive at their destination, they're not going to be taken advantage of on the pricing, and then that their information is going to be securely held by a company that wants to be publicly traded? Come on now, Uber. Seriously? This is what you're doing to your customers? You're trying to retrofit a hacking by having hackers themselves try to cover it up? Not very good business acumen as far as I'm concerned. I'm Cody from Wall Street Breakdown. If you haven't already, subscribe button, notification bell, thumbs up for this video, thumbs down for Uber and whatever they're doing out there, but thumbs up for you guys. We love you guys. We want you to have an outstanding rest of your Tuesday.